It's been a hot minute. Circumstances with my life from January to February caused me to move 7 times, no longer in California, and I am back in my home garage here in Houston. I could go on for an hour just talking about how rough it's been the last few months. But finally somewhat have gotten situated here at home base. I need to replace my Weboost. A few months ago, I kind of caught it on fire. But thankfully, around the same time that I caught it on fire, I had partnered with Weboost, and after about a month of sales, they sent me a new Weboost Drive Reach Overland. But once again, I haven't really had time to install it, so here we go. I am not going to go into detail on how to install the entire system because I've already done that in a prior video. This is specifically going to target how to hardwire install your Weboost, so you're not having to plug it into the cigarette lighter and then flip a little switch on the back of it. 2 decisions caused the issue I had with catching this one on fire. It just so happened around the same time I was catching a few other things on fire, and before I realized that the first problem was I bought cheap switches off Amazon. Yeah, don't do that. They were incorrectly labeled from positive to negative, and the moment I flipped the switch and the wires caught on fire, the switches caught on fire, and I'd used that same, I thought it was just like a one-off, that one switch, and I really need to quit doing things when I'm tired, because that's also kind of a contributing factor, side note factor. So yeah, I thought it was just like a one-off, like they could have done that with all of them. Wrong. Definitely did it with a couple more, and then I ended up just throwing the whole batch away, but I still had one of those switches hooked up, and then I decided, since I didn't want to wait on buying the actual Hardwire kit, which has an inline fuse, that I would just create one myself. So I cut the 12-volt wire for the cigarette lighter, installed a fuse, and then hooked that up, but at the same time I flipped a switch that was a bad switch. So I don't know if it was the wire and the switch or just the switch, but yeah, don't do that. It's not a good look. This is like I think this kit's like 12 bucks, maybe even cheaper. Now what I will say, they don't make it really easy to find this online. Like it doesn't really jump out at you when you're looking for the Hardwire kit. I mentioned this to Weboost, and that maybe they should put it down below the Drive Reach series, like down the bottom where like other suggested items that you may like. Otherwise, I actually had to call and get somebody on the phone to make sure I was ordering the right part. Like I said, I'm not going to go over the whole install for the Weboost system. My truck is also custom, and I've got custom switches in my truck that are already pre-wired. So when I go to hook this up, it's going to be a simple positive negative on a load terminal, and that's it. And because I already had everything mounted with this one, I'm really just swapping out the reach. I might go ahead and swap out the antenna just in case to make sure that I didn't fry anything on the antenna. So let's get into it. So this bracket is actually a really tight fit. Little snap bracket, so if you're worried about it busting, don't. All right, we're snug. Perfect. Like I said, your vehicle is going to look a lot different. You just need to find a positive and negative 12-volt source. Most people are going to come from their battery. If you're an active overlander, I assume you have some sort of a terminal set up mid-vehicle or in the back of the vehicle. I've got mine right here in this custom rack that I built for my electronics that goes behind, well, where my seat would be, because I did a seat delete. So I have all my small switches here, my ground, and then my large switches. Here's my new Weboost unit, the outside antenna, and the inside antenna. One key thing that I missed was the number on this Hardwire kit. And I'll have a link to it in the description below. I mean, they include the connector, but why would you not just go ahead and connect it up? It is always good to run fuses though, because if I had a fuse, I wouldn't have burned up my last one. So instead of using the inline fuse, it's a 3 amp. I have a space right here, another fuse block for my solar panel. Cut back this wire a little bit, and then run it through the switch to here, to my fuse block, and then out my fuse block and power my Weboost. I may have just royally screwed up. Apparently, this is not your standard 2 wires inside of this kit. I don't understand the significance of this at all. So apparently Weboost decided that instead of having 2 wires go in all the way through and then wrap around for your ground wire here, once it goes inside the casing, so that's your positive, and then they wrap the ground around like this. It's not really I'm going to need some explanation on that one, because now this is all jacked up. Why wouldn't you just do a regular positive negative? I don't understand. Okay, so crisis averted, hopefully. Thankfully, I have a lot of extra, like a whole roll of shrink tubing from when I was doing all my boat wiring. And actually, all my main wires been shrink tubed as well. I was able to create my own little wire off to the side, but yeah, definitely gonna talk to Weboost about that one because I know I'm not gonna be the only one who wants to cut that cord back because it's just way too much. Way too much. Can you tell I'm OCD about having my wires all nice and neat? Just a little bit. All right. Cut it right about here. This side fuse. Woo! Now for a fuse. Now the one that came with is a 3 amp. I'm going to go ahead and keep it that standard. All right. So I have power coming from my switch through a fuse and to my Weboost. I got the green light. I got the green light. So any 12-volt source that you can find, I don't suggest cutting the wire. Just loop it around, put it right there, because that was kind of a sketchy move there. And honestly, like I said, I'm going to talk to Weboost and figure out why did they do that. I mean, it's 12 volts. It's not like we're trying to get super fancy with like a pure sine electricity field. Like I'm not sure. That's it. 12 volt positive with the fuse. Make sure you have a fuse, and then negative or ground would work. And don't use cheap switches.